Okay, so we should be back to what we were doing. We're going through the perks. Anne took the EMT perk because she met the 3...
Did Teresa meets the prerequisite of 3. Now, what's the specific word for this medical skill?
First aid.
So I have 3 first aid. I meet the prerequisite for this. So now this has got an action point of 4. I can choose a survivor within range of 1 to gain +2 health. And is that defense as well as personal health, direct health?
That's just direct health.
Just direct health. That's pretty good.
That could be a survivor in your squad, but it could also be a survivor in one of our squads that's close to you.
Oh, that's good. I'm never gonna die.
So the new one here...
This is the new thing that you can spend dice on now. Give it.
Awesome.
So the new skill that we have here is a melee +1, and that's lesson 1, use the pointy end. This survivor gains +1 melee. So that's a nice one too.
I like the flavor text in the cards.
Yeah, I do too. So that +1 melee, that means what exactly, Walter?
So that's going to get slotted underneath your survivor, just like the critical wounds do. And that's giving a +1 melee skill to that survivor, which means they can use more dice when attacking with melee weapons. And as we get better and better melee weapons, they'll have more things for us to spend dice on, like activated abilities and stuff.
So does anyone have a particularly low melee score that they...
I have a 2, and if I move it to a 3, I can use my golf club to knock down zombies.
Ooh, that's a nice one. So do you want maybe to take that one, Josh?
Yeah, I'll take the...
Okay, and that gets replenished with a new perk. So, Anne, if you could be so kind.
Vanna lighted over there. Firearms.
So, firearms, gain +1 firearms, 671 grains of diplomacy. This survivor gains +1 firearms. So we've got 2 +1 firearms up there.
I don't get the reference and I want to.
I'm not telling you.
You can't always get what you want.
If you try sometimes...
You might just find.
You get what you need?
No, she won't get that either. So, we don't have any firearm things right now, weapons. So is it worth it to trash these and take new ones for me to pick my perk?
I would say, sure, it'll be fun. Let's do it. We will be getting some weapons since we took the house, but there's no guarantee that they'll be guns.
So we get 5 new ones now?
Yeah, we wiped that whole thing, pulling out 5 new ones.
So Walter stumbled upon Josh's catchphrase. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. It usually never is.
So, we got more skills for firearms here. Bolt actions speak louder than words. The survivor gains +1 firearm. We got another skill, which is +1 firearm. This is my rifle. This is my firearm. We also got another skill of +1 firearm.
Hey, guess what?
That's all 5. There's 5 in the deck. You found them all.
Putting zoms in ditches when my trigger finger itches.
I like that.
And then the other 2 we got were 2 melees. We got ham-fisted again, and we got eagle eyes again. So,
Good thing.
So we know what you're taking.
I think I will be taking a firearms card, and I like this one.
So that's all we get. So you're stuck with firearms.
I like this one, putting zoms in ditches when my trigger finger itches. So I'm going to give that to Arthur. If we get new items here, we get to choose which character we're putting them on, correct?
Yep. So now that we took the house, the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to get 5 food, which are these little...
5 food?
So let's figure 5 food cards. 5 resources, which are the white cards.
Okay.
2 new weapons from the armory deck. And since we successfully saved the 2 people upstairs, we're going to get 2 more survivors. Now, if we were a less friendly group, we could do a procedure of rolling dice to see who's going to get to choose what. But I think we should do this diplomatically. And
I'm sorry, Walter, did you stumble on the wrong group of board game players?
Oh, you guys are all jerks? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get anything, everyone else takes everything.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's how it works.
That's right, I forgot rule number 3.
So you want to show off the food first?
Yeah. What did we get to eat?
So we got some bird meat. Feeds 1 survivor. That survivor gets 1 radiation. We got some.
It's slim pickings in the apocalypse. So.
We got some dandelion leaves. Feeds 1 survivor. Survivor gains 1 radiation.
Well, that was a different symbol.
Yeah, so there's 2 different
So then we have the dandelion leaves, and that's the one radiation and feeds one survivor. We have the preserved can of dog food. That feeds one survivor, no downfall to that, so that's good.
Downfall, dog food, surprisingly delicious.
We got some raw pork. Feeds 2 survivors, and those survivors each gain a biohazard.
Long pork?
Long pork.
Question mark? Do you know what long pork is?
It's better than short pork. That's human.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's questionable human. Yeah.
Yeah. So then finally we have some booze. We get some vodka. And you could use it as fuel or drink. If eaten, cannot use that survivor's trait for 1 day, leave on a survivor and remove on the following afternoon.
So after we do kind of the narrative stuff of scavenging, crafting, guarding, etc., every survivor is going to need to eat. If you don't eat, your survivor takes 2 direct points of damage. So eating is good, but vodka kind of has some downsides. A lot of this food has downsides.
Caprica Liz says sometimes dog food can taste rough.
So I do want to note that I have the frying pan, and that's got a culinary ability. So once per day, you may feed up to 2 survivors with 1 food.
So something that's worth noting: flip all your survivor cards over.
Oh.
On the other side, the back side, so survivors have 2 sides. They've got a night side, and then they've got a day side. Day side's got some flavor text.
Oh.
It's got a personal objective, which is how you're going to get some extra victory points. And then it's got a trait that only affects them during the day. Sometimes that affects them in the different phases. Sometimes it's about eating different food. Sometimes, etc. So,
Very cool. So for an example here, I have my character's Arthur. He's got Inspire Others. So once per day, once per day, I may give another survivor +1 to a skill of choice until the end of the current phase. And then my other character, Aslan's got gain +2 health when crafting during the morning step because she's creative. Okay, so you guys have yours down there.
I have Teresa von Eschen, mother of the von Eschen clan. She is the glue that holds her family together. She's been in the community a long time now, and she's not about to let these new usurpers ruin her neighborhood.
I like it.
Bjorn von Eschen. Bjorn has spent his childhood training with Viking weaponry and learning camping fundamentals. He can light a fire faster than anyone he's met and use his axe for taking out any zombies that happen to see the flames. He keeps a watchful eye on Charlie because that kid always seems to know where the trouble and fun are.
Lovely.
and for anyone tuning in now, all these backers that we're playing with for this prologue are Kickstarter backers.
That's awesome. I think that's really
And
cool.
they kind of wrote parts of their own bio, who then Julie turned into some of the fun story stuff going on. And I think Teresa, who you're playing with there, has a trait that involves eating other players, makes eating a little easier.
Once per day, you may feed 2 survivors with 1 food. Apply any food effects to both survivors.
Oh, so you basically get the culinary frying pan effect for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if she had a frying pan and that, she'd make all the food.
And Bjorn has Lucky, so when this survivor goes on guard duty, draw 1 resource card. It's kind of cool.
Nice. So what else are we going to show off here? Resources?
Yeah.
So
Yes, we're
You
5
didn't want
resources.
Josh to read his biographies?
No. Go ahead, Josh.
I have Bella, who has Home Alone. As long as the survivor did not go out scavenging, build 1 free sandbag at the end of the morning sleep step. Ugh. And then, I don't even know how to pronounce your name correctly.
That's why I didn't
Marcelina?
want Josh.
Marcelina? Yeah. Dreamer, if the survivor crafts a fortification during the morning step, gain an additional star.
Okay. So for resources, we got some fuel. So we got some gasoline. Discard 1 gas-powered weapon. Or reload 1 gas-powered weapon. I'm sorry. Discard it to reload a gas-powered weapon. We got some ammo. So that's going to allow us to discard to reload a firearm. We got some parts. It's a power adapter. And that's something new. So what is that, Walter?
That's for crafting. So we're about to enter the morning phase where there's 4 things that we can do. Scavenge, which is we're gonna go on like a mini story where we're gonna deal with some challenges, but then hopefully come back with some supplies. Crafting, where we'll use supplies like these parts to build things, either to certain objectives in the campaign or to fortify the home to better defend against zombies. Guarding, which is going to reduce the Doom Tracker. So if we were going to go start chapter 1, the Doom Tracker is going to shoot up to 5 plus the number of players. So with all of us right here, the little purple zombie that's there is going to be at 9. So the only way to really get that down reliably is to send some guys on guard duty. That's going to help us manage the Doom Tracker. The higher it is, the scarier our next night of combat is going to be. And then the last thing we can do is resting. Resting is everyone just kind of hanging out in the backyard, chilling during the day, which is going to gain you back some health from hanging out, but it's going to increase the Doom Track because we're all outside making noise. So that's kind of a push and pull we got to do. So something like Power Adapter there is used to make certain crafting objectives. In chapter 1, basically we just took this house, everything's great, we found that there's a broken down truck in the garage. We're like, we should fix up that truck so we can get the heck out of suburbia, because actually it still sucks here. It sucks everywhere, right? So in order to fix the truck, so we've got a little crafting deck as well. In order to fix the truck, it says first we have to build a workbench. And the workbench requires some wood, some scraps, and 2 parts. So we found one of the parts that we need to fix the workbench. That's the truck one, yeah.
Okay, and so then we also found some busted railing that gave us some wood and some scrap nuts and bolts. So we got some nuts and bolts too.
So those were 2 more of the items? Oh no, there was no wood on...
So we need 4 fix the truck, we need 2 nuts and bolts, we need 2 gas, we need 2 parts, and
13 action points.
13 action points to do that. So
And we need to complete the workbench first, which takes some stuff as well.
We have a question from Capricorn Liz. Are you able to rescue the people you saved now that it's the morning phase?
Yeah, so the next thing we're going to do now that we're putting out this stuff that we just got from rescuing this house is we're going to flip up 2 survivors.
Okay, so we got...
This is making me so happy.
Oh god. We got Maddie Moran.
I'm curious. So a lot of the players or survivors in this game are Kickstarter backers. Is the art based on photos of the backers?
Yep. So we took a photo, and then the very talented Steven Gibson, who did all the graphic design for the game, kind of does a photo bash filter situation on their photographs.
That's really cool.
So she's got 6 health, 1 smart, 6 speed, 3 defense, but she's got an ability called Reckless, which is -3 health, but your squad gains +2 defense, and you may move up to 3 spaces. So that's 3 free spaces then.
Yeah, 3 free spaces, and she's a crazy little girl. A little badass.
And then finally we've got Tilly von Eschen, and that's the dog. So that's the family dog. 5 health, 0 smarts, 8 speed. That's a quick little puppy.
It's a quick dog, but your squad can only move as far as your slowest survivor. So Tilly by herself can go 8 spaces, but with other fatties and people missing legs and stuff, they can only go.
She's got 2 defense, and then for an AP of 4, they got the Scrounger ability, so draw a random food or resource. Only usable once per night. See the day side of this card for animal rules.
Yeah, so animals have a few special things, like they can't use weapons, for example.
Aww.
Teeth only here. They bite people, and they must rest during the morning step. You can't send your animal out crafting. They can only do one thing.
That would be amusing to have the animal go crafting.
So I like how the dog has no smarts, but 4 talk.
No, Tilly is very convincing, right? Like, you can do pretty much anything Tilly barks at you about, but...
It's like Lassie. It's like, what? Timmy's in the well?
There's zombies in the well!
Okay,
so there's 2 ways that we can do this. We could either play the nice way, where we just choose who gets those survivors, or we can play the twist gaming way, where basically we're all going to roll our action pools. So since we each only have 2 survivors right now, that's rolling 4 dice. If somebody had more survivors, they would roll more dice. And then we're going to have a talk, what's called a contest here, basically. So we're going to look at the survivor in your squad that has the highest talk skill. My guys have a talk of 2. That's the highest talk I've got. So I'm going to roll these dice, and I rolled a 5 and a 6 and then 2 1s. So since I have a talk skill of 2, I'm going to take my highest 2 dice and say that my talk contest here has a rating of 11. So I'm coming in with an 11. What are you guys rocking?
So my highest talk skill, or they're both 3 for me, and I rolled for my top 3 dice. I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 3. So that is a 14.
So Matt's currently in the lead here.
My highest talk skill is a 2, but I happen to roll 2 6s, so that is a 14. It's 12.
Really? 2 6s is 14, man.
Hey
That's
guys, guess what I do
interesting.
for a living?
I have a talk of 3. I rolled a 6 and 2 3s and a 2, so I have a 12 also.
How do you play? I win.
So Matt wins. He's going to get first choice, and then Ann and Josh are just going to do a high roll with a single die to see who's going to get the remaining guy that Matt does.
I rolled a 5. Oh, you rolled a 6. That's how I knew how I was going to go. Oh,
So-
I get nothing. Since Walter's the nice guest, he's not going to take anything, and you two will get it. So Matt, which one are you taking?
Well, quick question first. Walter, with the reckless ability on Maddie, when she suffers the 3 voluntary damage, do you still have to roll to see if something is critical on you or no?
No, that's only when zombies attack.
Okay, just wanted to double check there. So, I am going to take Maddie.
That's totally fine because I think Tilly's adorable.
I like that Narfalik gave you 15 points for your bad count. He should give you 14 because that's what you counted to.
Thank you, Josh.
And did you guys see what Julie said before?
No, what was
No.
that?
When you guys were talking about Tilly's talk, Julie says, does that mean she knows how to heal? What happens when your foot is gone? Does Tilly me?
Nah. Oh, I didn't think of that. If we have this contest again, you're gonna roll your 4 dice there.
Yeah.
It's bark, 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 bark.
Bark, bark. Tilly's gonna
So
be
now
cute
we
puppy
move up
roll over
the
and
2
just get everybody.
melee weapon. Excuse me, not melee weapon. 2 armory cards.
2 armory cards?
You gave them to
We
me already,
got
Josh?
Oh, I did.
5 resources, 2 armory cards, and 2 survivors.
So first up, we have a shield, which is really a stop sign.
That's awesome. Oh my god, say it.
What? Oh, in the name of love! I didn't
Stop.
even see that. In the name
There
of
you go.
love. Okay, that's awesome. That's really
Wait,
cool.
so Walter, who's the creative genius behind the flavor text?
So the flavor text is a mix between me and Julie.
This is fabulous.
So that is stop sign defensive. This survivor has +2 defense. So is that just them or is that the clan?
That'll go towards your whole clan. If you've got your whole squad, if you've
Squad,
got a
yeah.
survivor equipped with that, it increases their defense rating, and since defense is cumulative among your squad.
And it's got an AP3 skill of rush, deal 1 damage, range 1. If your target is no longer occupying that space, move your squad into that space. This movement does not count towards your squad's speed limit. Prerequisite is a 3 on the melee. That's really nice.
So you can always make the basic attack AP6 for 1, but if you have 3 melee skill, then you can use rush as well.
Now is that 3 or higher, or it has to be 3?
3 or higher.
Okay. That's not bad at all. And then the other one we have is the wooden slingshot. So that's an AP5 range 3 and a damage of 1. And so that is impromptu wood may be discarded and used as 1 wood at any time. And on an AP1, easy reload. Reload this weapon.
That's
So that is the weakest firearm in the game, but it is a firearm. And normally you have to reload firearms by discarding bullets, but you can just reload this guy with pebbles and whatever you find on the ground. So
It's a resourceful firearm. I like it.
What is the blue cube on the bottom of that card?
that means that this die can run out of ammo. This card can run out of ammo. So every time you attack with it, you're gonna also roll one of the blue dice that came in the game. And if you roll a click, then the card is out of ammo. So you would turn it sideways, meaning you can't attack with it again until you reload it. Normally you would have to discard bullets or gasoline if it was a gas-powered weapon to reload it, but in this case, the way you reload the slingshot is just by spending one action point to do the easy reload.
Okay.
Not bad. So those are our 2 armory cards there. So who's gonna get what there? So are we doing our roll off again?
Basically, we kind of skip a step in that prologue here where one of us would have been given a first player token, which I think Josh pretty much went first every round. So let's say Josh was first player here. So with everything except for survivors, where you always do a contest of talk for new survivors, we're now doing any contest that Josh wants. So if we can't decide who's going to get what, we could just be like, oh, it makes sense for Matt to take the shield, but obviously we all hate each other. So he's going to pick whatever skill he has the highest of on one of his guys. He's going to be like, we're doing a contest of that. However, Matt and Ann each have 3 survivors in their squad, which means that their action pools are now 6 dice. So they're going to roll 6 dice and take the best of those.
So I'm just gonna lose pretty much, unless they roll really bad.
So they could roll all 1s and 2s.
Well, she has a dog that has 4 talk. She uses 4 dice. I'm gonna
Bark, 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 bark.
So you could pick, like, if you had someone with high melee skill or high. Well, actually, Anne has Bjorn, right? So Anne's probably going to get what she wants here.
yeah.
Like real life.
Anne's gonna get what she wants. I mean, sure. Let's do melee because I have 4. It's still 3 versus 4.
This sounds an awful lot like whining, Dodger.
You could do the mechanics, go.
I have 2.
I have 2, but Anne has 0.
She is. She does have 0. Let's do the mechanics. Go.
Meaning that if you chose contest mechanics, Anne could absolutely not.
So I just get to take my roll.
I got a 12.
I rolled 4.
How many die am I rolling? How many dice am I
You
rolling?
roll
0.
6, but you add up 0 dice together to get your score.
I rolled
Oh, I'm sorry.
6
I rolled
dice?
6 dice in total. That's right.
Toto.
So Anne, you roll 6 dice, but because he chose a skill that you've got 0 in, you can use 0 of the 6 dice that you roll.
This is good. Ready? I want them all to be Z's.
Classic Josh.
So Anne rolled 3 2s and a 1, but
No,
she's cheating
wait.
now. I rolled a 5 and a 4, so that's 9. So Josh, you have first pick.
So I'm gonna take this.
I know you're taking the stop sign. You
I'm gonna
always
take the
play
stop
the
sign.
tank.
I know. I'm taking the stop sign, but to be nice,
To be nice.
someone can take my golf club.
Aw, look at you. You're so sweet.
Which is great because Matt has 3 survivors and would love to have 3 weapons, and though Anne has 3 survivors, the dog cannot use them.
Although a dog with a slingshot sounds pretty cool.
Pretty bad.
Can you just like tape the shield to the top?
And for the slingshot, I guess actually, so Matt was second there. So Matt, you would have choice of that slingshot if you wanted it.
Yeah, I'm
But
definitely.
unless survivors could particularly, it wouldn't really benefit them. So
I'm definitely gonna take the slingshot because I just took the +1 firearm skill before,
right on.
so I might as well take
Are
that.
you getting rid of your frying pan?
No, I'm gonna give the kid the frying pan. So I'm gonna. Actually, should I take the golf club? Oh no, she doesn't have that prereq. So yeah, the kid's getting the frying pan. Maddie Moran is getting the frying pan. Yeah, that rhymes.
Does anyone have a lower AP melee weapon besides 6?
The frying
My
pan's a
crowbar
5.
is 5.
Just because I have 1 die and I need to roll a 6 to actually attack with this person.
Do any of your survivors have a melee skill of 3?
Yeah, my one has this melee skill is 3. That's why I took the shield.
I would for that. Okay, never mind then. Because
Yeah.
if you have a melee skill of 3 with the center block, you have an AP cost of 4. But you want to use the shield. For
Yeah, I
sure.
want to use the shield.
My crowbar is 5, but it has a...
Prereq of
Correct,
2.
2. I will be right back.
Quote 10. Okay, so we have a golf club sitting in the pool right now. Can I equip multiple weapons to a survivor or no?
Only if that survivor either had a trait on them that let them use it. So, like Julie's card, for example, because Julie's one of the survivors you can find in the game, has a special trait, Angry Dexterous, where if you spend a 6 for the remainder of combat, you can use 2 weapons. The only other way to use 2 weapons is either if a weapon says that you can use another weapon in addition to it, or if you got that the mutation we saw before that gave you beefy hands that let you hold 2 weapons, but gave you sausage fingers, so you couldn't use guns anymore.
Well, I guess what I was more asking was, can you hold 2 weapons on your character? So, like, I have the slingshot. Could I keep the golf club on him as backup in case the slingshot fails, or?
Right on. So if you look on either side of your player boards there, you've got a carrying item slot and a stash item slot.
Ooh.
So kind of as we go into the morning phase, the next thing that's going to happen is everyone upstairs because that's the least likely that zombies will chew on them, but they could go anywhere. And any card that you put on the stash side of your board is considered in that space. During the daytime phase, you have full access to anything that's in your stash or in your crew here. But at night, you can only get stuff out of your stash if you physically go to it and get it. On the other side of your board is the carrying section. And now each survivor can only carry 2 things, including their weapon that they're holding. So out in the field, you can only carry 2 things on the other side of you, and that counts for other weapons that you wanted to bring with you or resources. So for example, if you had a bunch of guns, you could only bring so much ammo with you out in the field and would have to leave some other stuff in your stash and go get it and stuff like that.
So I could keep my golf club sheathed on my side then.
Yes, exactly. You can keep it in your carrying section.
Perfect. Okay, so what is up next in this phase?
Cool. So now we're full on in the morning phase. So everyone is going to have tokens that have numbers on them. There's for each color. So sorry about that, Josh.
Alright.
But these correspond to the survivors in your squad. So if you've got 3 survivors, you're going to want the tokens of your color, 1, 2, and 3. For me and Josh, we're only going to be concerned with 1 and 2 because we only have 2 survivors. So, starting with Josh, because he's the first player for this round, we're going to go around in a circle and one at a time assign a survivor to a task. Survivors that get sent out scavenging are going to go out as a group made up of all our different survivors from different squads here that are going to go out on a group and do little stories, which will probably involve us having to solve some sort of challenge, but will almost definitely involve us bringing back loot to the house, whether that's more survivors, more weapons, etc. So scavenging is definitely important for us to be able to complete this chapter because we're going to need more things in order to fix the truck. Crafting was where we can use the things that we got, like those resources and whatever else people bring back from scavenging, to make some stuff. So there's a whole deck of crafting cards that we would look through to pick from there. Guarding, which reduces the doom track, and resting, which will get you health back. Any number of survivors can rest. So anyone who's left over and doesn't have a place to go ends up resting automatically.
Okay.
All right. So Josh, you're up first then.
Alright, so I guess I'll send out one of my guys scavenging.
Cool. So you would take the number corresponding to whatever guy you wanted to send, and put it in any of the slots there. If you're in the number 1 slot, then you're kind of the scavenge leader, and you'll sort of choose which direction we go and what stories we deal with and what choices we make, etc.
Okay. And can we really craft anything now, or not really?
We're definitely going to bring some stuff back from scavenging, so we'll have a few more things to craft with. If you look at in the crafting deck, there's a basic crafting card. Those are things that we always have access to even before we build anything like the workbench.
Okay.
There's one thing there that doesn't cost anything to make, which is a sandbag. So even if you just send one guy crafting, you can make a sandbag. If you're in the number 1 spot, crafting, then you're the crafting leader, and you get to do things like those 2 junk walls that we left before. You can move those anywhere you want in the house.
Okay.
And
And what does the little stars mean?
those are victory points that you get for crafting stuff. So if
Okay.
you build a scrap trap, you're going to get a point. So if we're going to do a little bit of this chapter 1 here, we would all reset back to 0. Every chapter you reset back to 0 victory points.
Okay.
So the prologue was really just to get some people some perks there, and then we all go back to 0, but the doom track stays where it is at 9.
Alright. That makes sense. Okay. So then next.
It would be Anne's choice to place somebody, and then Matt's choice, and Anne know that Tilly has to rest.
Oh yeah, Tilly. Okay, so Tilly's number 3.
So-
Tilly's got to rest.
Pooch is gonna have to rest.
Pooch
You
has
could
to
only
take a
rest
nap.
up to 2 people. Is that right?
The rest is on the.
Any number of people.
Oh.
Any number. Oh, okay. I'm looking at guard. That's what it is. Okay.
But everyone who rests, though they are going to gain some hit points back, they're going to increase the doom track, and they're going to make our next night harder.
Sorry. So neither of my...
I'm also gonna rest. Thanks. It's my turn.
Thanks for making it harder.
Anytime.
I'm gonna send Summer Morin, my number 2, out with Josh Scabbed.
Okay.
And what do sandbags do?
Sandbags basically create a yield spot, an arduous terrain thing. So we can put those anywhere in the yard, even outside the house. So we would kind of build those up either in choke points or like right where the zombie spawns, so that they start off slower.
Okay. So I can have my second Bella make a sandbag, and then if she's home alone, as long as the survivor did not go out scavenging, build one sandbag free at the end of the morning step. So I can technically build 2.
So
Right, so she'll just get an auto sandbag, exactly.
So where's she going?
She's going to craft.
Craft. Okay. So then I am going to take Aslan and I'm going to go craft as well because I get +2 health when I craft with her. Okay. I skipped over you, didn't I?
Sure did. Bjorn has lucky, so when he goes on guard duty, we get to draw a resource.
Ooh, nice.
So let's put him on guard duty.
So then I took my character and placed her already. So Josh, you again, you placed everyone?
Yep. You skipped over Walter.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So my big dumb head is in the way here. Are all the spots filled on guard?
No, there's one open space on guard duty.
Alright, I'll send Kenny Moore out guarding.
Okay.
As well,
Any beneficial?
because I have a feeling we're gonna need it.
Is there any way where that I can move his?
You can move it down just over Josh's head.
Or you can move it on top of the blue map. Or purple map.
I thought you meant literally on top of Josh's head.
Yeah.
I
I
have.
think we're okay. We get the basic gist here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Teresa on scavenge
Okay.
Yeah, there you
because I have no craft skills.
go. Okay.
Cool. And yeah, 3 is typically a good number to send out. 3 or 4. We wouldn't want to really go with less if we can avoid it. If you don't know where to go, I'd say come with us scavenging, so we have a better chance of not failing.
Yeah, so I'm going to send Maddie scavenging. It's always wise sending the little girl out scavenging, right?
Yeah.
Little man's getting funny places.
possibly happen.
All right, so everyone's placed and ready
Okay,
to
cool.
go.
So now we're gonna resolve these in order. So first we'll scavenge, then we'll craft, then we'll guard, then we'll rest. So, because you are in the number 1 spot here, Josh, you're gonna pick which direction we go in, and that's north, south, east, or west. And there's a little section for each one, and then we'll roll a die to see which of the 6 stories we read in that section.
I gotta pick a direction. Let's go north
Okay, man.
to the wall.
To the wall. And where is that in here? I'm trying to find it in the rule book now. I thought Josh...
The stories are not in the rulebook.
Oh.
Right? That's the rulebook.
Yeah, he has a storybook. He's
Oh, okay.
just, you have
Okay.
the right book.
Yeah, so the scavenging zones start on page 9. On page 8 is a little piece of rules about the scavenging basics, and then page 9 starts the little stories.
Okay, so we went north, so we're going to need a D6 to be rolled.
Can we have chat roll d6?
So let's see where we're going. Excuse me?
Card?
Oh, you're mean, Anne. She's saying very mean things
I
under
heard
her
it.
breath. Yeah. So that's a 3, right? So we're going to the firehouse. You just wanted to slide down the pole, but once your brain...
I asked Aaron while we were house hunting if we could just buy a firehouse so I can
There
have
we
a
go.
firehouse.
But once you brain the debtors and dump the rancid 5-alarm chili, you'll have a new cooking pot. Too bad a former frontliner is on a ladder surrounded by zombies. The truck might have the power to swing the ladder to safety, or it might be best to just put a bullet through the brain pan of each debtor. What's your decision? So option 1 is use those shop skills and try to work the fire truck. A single survivor must pass mechanics 14. Or option 2, sniper the zombies. A single survivor must pass firearms 10.
So passing these challenges works the same way as we did that little contest that talked before. So the 4 scavengers we sent out, that's kind of the new squad that we're dealing with. So because 4 people went, we're going to get to roll all 8 of the dice, 2 dice per guy. And we're going to hope that whatever we roll is going to be good enough for us to meet one of these 2 challenges. So a single survivor must pass mechanics 14. That means the only way we could possibly do that is if one of the survivors that we sent out has a mechanics 3 or higher, because we would need to assign dice to a single survivor to do it, and you can't make 14 with less than 3 dice.
Highest is 2. So, can't do that.
And then
as well.
Because Kenny went on guard duty.
Because crowbar increases your mechanic skill.
Oh, I have a crowbar, but that doesn't really help us much. I have a mechanic skill of 1 because Bjorn naturally has a mechanic skill of 0.
Right on. But since you came out with us as a little group, our squad can trade that weapon around. So just because we brought it with us,
no, Bjorn's on guard duty, and he's the one who has the crowbar equipped.
So we can't use his crowbar, but I believe Matt has Arthur von Eschen.
no, actually, I have Maddie with us here, and she's got a frying pan.
So Arthur has a power. Arthur's in your squad, though, right?
Yeah. He's not on the scavenge.
He's in
He's
his...
got a power. His Inspire Others can be used anywhere.
Oh, really?
Anywhere at all.
Oh, okay.
So, what is,
So if that puts us over the edge,
So
we could do. If not, we're gonna have to choose option 2.
It would be...
what's our highest firearm on the group right now?
0.
I have 1.
I have a 0. So would it be better to roll 2 firearms to try and get 10, or 3 mechanics to try and get 14?
But Josh has brought somebody with him.
I have 2 mechanics.
2 mechanics plus the 1 Inspire
Right, so-
from Arthur would...
3 mechanics for 14 would probably be the better choice there.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would agree.
So before you left, he gave you the Braveheart speech.
Yes.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, exactly.
The average is slightly better.
Yeah, because you're going from having to roll
2 5s to 2 5s and a 4.
So we roll 8 dice though. That's nice.
Well, does it actually? Is it better because we're rolling 8 dice and we just need 2 5s or higher,
Oh,
where
that's
we need
true.
2 5s and a 4?
You bring someone who has a 2 in firearms.
No.
Matt, who had
No one has a 2 in firearms. Our highest is a 1.
Maddie.
So we couldn't do that one anyway.
Well, with the Inspire skill, because that would work for firearms or no?
Oh, right, yeah, that would require. So we could do it that way. Yep, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, I think technically the odds would be better than for the shooting, because
Okay.
we're still taking from the same pool of 8 dice.
yes. So TP, do you want to have chat roll 8 dice for us?
Everything will be fine.
8 dice?
Yeah, 8d6s. We need 2 5 plus.
Big bucks, no whammies. You could roll in there too. 8's a lot, TP.
So let's start off with a
Okay,
6.
so that's good. We started off with a 6.
Yeah.
4, 5, 4, 6.
Another
Another
6.
6, we win.
2 6s do we start with.
That's
And a 6.
Jesus!
Okay.
3 6s.
That works.
Chat.
And a 6.
I
What?
think, I think it's broken.
No, and a 4.
It's not
That's
broken.
right.
Those
We
are
got 4
incredible rolls
sixes.
right there.
Helpful, but still good.
And a 3.
So we sniper the zombies. A success.
Wait. I snipered the zombie.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you very
You're
much.
a great shot.
Don't take credit for work.
I know. So since we passed, a success is we get +4 resources, plus
That's
2
really good.
food, plus 2 what is that? The weapons,
Yep.
and +1 survival.
We found
So,
somebody?
yeah, tons of stuff, which is great, but also the Doom track goes up too, which is less great.
Yeah. So the Doom tracker goes up too.
That's the purple guy.
Yeah. And had we done option 1, so fix the fire truck, we also would have gotten some spare parts.
But that's okay, because it worked out great.
Yeah.
So what did we get from that?
From the resources, we got ammo,
Ammo.
a backpack. That's pretty cool.
Backpack,
Increases our
backpack.
carrying
I was
limit.
thinking the same thing.
So
Like that-
increases your carry limit by 4 cards. This card does not count towards your carry limit. So we got some more ammo.
And parts.
A pile
Multiple
of computers.
parts.
So 2 parts.
For food, we got just what I needed.
Just what I needed. So that feeds all survivors in your squad. They each gain 1 health. That's awesome.
Did you forewarn Walter that this was a musical?
I should have, Walter. I apologize.
Well, what's the heads up on that?
More importantly, we got some rum, so we could use that as fuel or the drink.
Yeah, we got another golf club and a nail board.
Golf club and nail board. That was Josh's starting set right there.
And hiding in the firehouse
Was Monique Bouchard.
Ooh.
So
Oh, she's just a total killer.
Oh
She's
my-
awesome.
3
Um,
melee.
She's not very fast, but she does have lots of defense, and the survivalist skill means that all the weapons that have the impromptu skill, so all the weapons we started with, and coincidentally the 2 that we just found, she does extra damage with, so she can one-shot those green zombies. So
Oh,
she's
that's
super badass.
She does look like a badass.
That's awesome. So I'm kind of jealous now. Okay, so we got all those new goodies. Now we go back to the house, or?
Yes, exactly. So now we go on to the crafting phase, then we'll do the guarding, then we'll do the resting, and then afterward we'll deal with the items we just found, then we'll feed survivors, and then we'll decide what we want to do next.
All right.
Cool.
So, crafting. We're going to look at the crafting deck. There's a bunch of cards in the crafting deck. Many of them require the workbench to be built first. So there's kind of 2 cards that we're going to concern ourselves with in the beginning. One is the crafting basics, which is just a list of simple things that we can make, and one is the workbench, which is the other next thing we kind of have to do to progress the story. There's also a really valuable card that we could make without the workbench, which is the trash can kitchen, which makes feeding time much, much easier. It also lets us distill vegetables into liquor.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of excitement.
And we could make that. We have the parts for that.
But do we need it since we have an MRE?
Can't make the trash can kitchen because we need fire. And we didn't find a lighter, nor do one of our survivors have the smoker.
Oh, that's a lighter.
That's a lighter, yeah. So we can't make the trash can kitchen, so we can forget about that one for now.
I actually have trash can turkey when I go camping. It is delicious.
Is that turkey you find in a trash can?
It's turkey you cook with a trash can.
Okay, so we can't build the workbench either because we don't have the nuts and bolts we would have if we would have fixed the fire truck.
Well, we maybe could, because all the weapons that we just got and some of the weapons we already have this impromptu ability, which say that we can discard them for resources. We can turn our shovels into wood, our cinder block into scraps, etc. So we could ditch some of our stuff and make that workbench. And since we're kind of on a clock to be able to fix the truck because the Doom track is going to keep going, it does behoove us to make that workbench right away, especially since we already have the gasoline to fix the truck. And so we could, if we built this workbench day 1, we could potentially fix the truck on day 2 and avoid what is pretty much assured death.
So the nice thing is that the golf clubs and the crowbars can both be scrapped for spare parts. Or nuts and bolts. So that's probably something that we're going to do now.
I would shovel. Let's keep that back.
Oh, your audio's cutting out there, Walter. Unfortunately, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we do.
Great. I would say take my shovel.
Take your shovel.
And
We can
my
do it.
axe. Okay, so we're taking the shovel, and what are we doing with this shovel?
It becomes wood, so we could go find the wood, but we can just understand that this shovel can be used as one wood, and then we can complete the crafting for the workbench. But to do that, first we need to know what the highest mechanic skill is on our crafting team.
Actually, no. We have enough wood. We're missing the scrap, the nuts and bolts.
Oh, all right. Give me my shovel back.
So we're gonna scrap our spare golf club that we have over here, and the golf club will allow us to scrap for nuts and bolts.
And does that get us enough nuts? Do we have enough nuts and bolts?
Yeah, now we have enough.
Awesome. So in order to actually do this, we have to be able to assign 8 AP. So we only put 2 people on the crafting team, which means that we're only going to roll 4 dice, 2 per a survivor just like we do with everyone else. And then we have to have one of those 2 survivors be able to assign 8 APs worth of dice in order to craft that bench.
Okay, and
Do we get Matt's skill again?
that's only
We don't.
once.
That was a once per day thing, so we made our choice to use it out in the field rather than here.
All right, so Bella only has 1.
So which one's crafting? I'm
Aslan
sorry.
has 2.
So that's the mechanic skill.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, I have 2.
Do you?
And you went with me?
You know how to
Who?
engineer
Your
stuff?
character's the one that went crafting?
Yes, she's the
Okay.
one that went crafting
Okay.
because she also gets +2 health when she goes crafting.
Okay.
So I get
She
that.
gets that back right now, so she'll gain
Okay,
2 health.
awesome.
And then Josh rolls 4 dice, and hopefully we get enough to assign that 8.
I
got a-
rolled a 6 and a 2, and Josh rolled a 5 and a 4. So that's an 11 total. So that's definitely 8. Beats 8.
Boom.
We have a workbench. Yay!
Yay!
That guy does not look like he's wearing
flip
safety
the workbench
glasses.
card over real quick.
Flip it over.
Oh, flip it over. I'm sorry. So there we go.
Now we also have access to more because we have the workbench. We've now unlocked another list of things we can craft. Notable here are bombs, which are really, really valuable, but take a lot of resources. They just blow up and kill tons of zombies, which is great because zombies are really bad. And other notable thing on here is upgrade, where we can add scrap to any weapon to reduce the AP cost.
Ooh.
So my nail board becomes stronger. Or easier to hit.
Yeah, easier to hit.
So we spent 2 of the 4 dice that you guys rolled on crafting that workbench, which means there's 2 dice left. I might be gone. Am I still here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That means the survivor that Josh sent, I think you said he had a skill of 1 in mechanics. So you could use one of the remaining die to craft something, either from the crafting basics card or the workbench card. And then maybe that's just a sandbag, but that's still better than nothing.
Can I see the other one?
Walter, just to double check, you can see us now, right?
Yeah, I can see you
Okay,
guys. My
cool.
screen went white for a second, but
Sorry about that. I think that was me.
Yeah, TP was using the snipping tool over here.
Trying to tweet.
no worries.
So what are you making there, Josh?
So I could salvage any armory card to get 2 scrap. Or do we have any extra scrap or not really?
No, I think we used all of our
We
scrap
have-
to make the workbench.
We have
Yeah.
no more scrap.
I don't think we have any excess armory cards either.
Right now, what we have is just going to be we've got the nail board.
We've got a spare nail board.
That outs as wood, so I can just make. We could either rip that apart for 2 scrap, or I can make a sandbag.
Sandbag.
All right, so I get to make 2 sandbags.
All right. So what do you do?
And you get to make 2 sandbags, but also because we saved those 2 survivors before the walls got broken in the prologue, we still have those junk walls that we can move around.
Okay. And those are junk.
Because you're the crafting leader, you can decide where we rearrange our stuff.
Okay.
The walls have to go adjacent to one of the other red lines of the house, if that makes sense. So the wall tokens have 2 black lines with red borders around them.
Okay, so I could close off a door or a window with them.
You can close off a door, or you could make it, basically you can make another choke point, etc. And the sandbags can go anywhere.
Okay, and the sandbags, what do they do?
They create another arduous space, so 2 action points for us, or 2 movement for the zombies. So we want to put it in places where we want to kind of funnel the zombies, or where we know they're going to be, like, right by their spawn points.
So I got a question for you. Could you technically put one of those on an already arduous space, so like in front of the window or something like that?
You can, except you can't, you can put 2 of them in the same spot, basically. So yes, you could have 2, you could put it where there's an existing arduous space, but you couldn't put like 4 sandbags on the same space and make it impossible for zombies to move through.
So it doubles up the movement cost. It would be 3 movement to move through that one single spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow,
So it would take
okay.
the zombies their whole turn to get through.
That's pretty good.
So I could pretty much block off like
A room of the house.
2 door. Like, would it be beneficial to block off doors?
So what I would suggest is we block off the north side of things, because based on where the Doom Track is, we're going to fight one of the mutates, which are really, really
like it.
Beautiful. So cool. Then we guard. I believe Anne had a special power that triggers during the guard phase.
Yes. I have lucky, so when the survivor goes on guard duty, we draw one resource. So we
Cool.
drew
So
some
we
more
got
parts.
resources.
You found a TV.
Yay!
Nice. And then because we sent 2 survivors, the doom track goes down by 2.
Okay.
Awesome.
Which is great, but then we sent 2 survivors resting, so the survivors that went resting are going to get some help, and the doom track goes right back.
Oh.
And they increase their health by 2.
By 2.
Okay. And that was one of your characters as well, and you
It
sent
was
someone resting. The
Tilly.
dog, yeah.
No, that
But
was
Tilly
a full
was
health.
already at full health.
Ah, okay.
So now we're going to do the same contest of talk to see who gets the new survivor.
Oh, excellent! I like this one.
Bark, 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 bark.
You're about to be very powerful, I think.
Okay, so how many dice do I roll?
2 for each character, right?
So
6 dice.
6?
Yes.
Yep.
Could you give me that red d6 over there?
No, I need to roll 6 also. You could have this blue one here. One, 2, my highest. So I could only take 3 dice because that's my highest. So my total is going to be 15. So I rolled 3 5s. How about you, Anne?
My highest is 4, so I can take 4 dice. I rolled 2 6s and 2 4s.
That's
So it's
20.
a 20.
You win.
How are we
And,
playing?
and the most I can roll is an 18.
So you lose. You rolled 2 6s.
And a
good.
4.
That's not even
So
an
that's a
18.
16.
So actually, I'm in last place there. I rolled 15.
Walter?
I had a 12. So
Okay.
technically you're not.
At least I didn't lose.
So cool. That means Anne now has a fully set up squad. She's got 4 survivors. We did destroy a lot of our weapons. Or no, we still have 1 weapon, right?
Yeah, we have the nail board left, so that's an item that I would like to have because...
It happens to be really good for her because impromptu weapons deal extra damage with her.
Perfect.
It does mean now that your squad is kind of slow because of her, but
I'm okay with that. I feel like Teresa was already slow, and it kind of set an idea for me about what kind of strategy I wanted to use for my team.
But
So
now
you
you're
have the dog
extra
that runs
slow.
like twice
Yeah.
as fast. So he's going to do circles around you while you're moving forward.
Nipping at your
There are
heels.
the zombies
Hurry up.
around.
Come on, let's go.
Protective circle.
Yeah.
so now every survivor has to get fed. And I think we have a lot of food because of our successful run on the firehouse. So I think we're in good shape there. We have to ensure that we allocate that food because there's some penalties associated.
Well,
Teresa?
we have an MRE, so we could feed everyone.
In one squad.
And in a squad, okay.
In one squad, right?
So
that
you
might
can feel-
be really good
you can feed
for
Anne.
It'll
Yeah.
Well,
take care of
and-
all of her.
Feel Anne.
Feed Anne.
Help
And if the
me.
survivor doesn't get fed, they take 2 damage.
Now, Teresa has the cook option,
But
or
that-
the ability trait.
That doesn't say in your squad, does it? Just say any 2 survivors?
Right, once per day you may feed 2 survivors with 1 food. Apply any food effects to both survivors.
Meaning, assuming that we're not going to help Josh, you can help Matt and eat some of Matt's guys for him. So you can just with 1 food help out 2 of Matt's characters.
We can help Walter.
So I think that it would behoove us to give Anne the MRE, and then you can help feed other people, and I have got the frying pan, so I can help feed other people too.
That's good.
So, Anne, you get the MRE, so you're accounted for. We've got... Oh, how do you want to feed me?
Note that if you use something like that bird meat, which has penalties, with the frying pan and you feed bird meat to multiple survivors, both survivors get the penalty.
So, do we want to do...
Something that doesn't have a penalty or a low
We
penalty.
only have one thing that has no penalty, that's the dog food.
Yes, I want to watch you eat dog food.
So you're feeding 2 of my characters dog food. I'm assuming you're going to give it to...
Does dog food feed 1 or 2 people?
Feeds 1.
Okay.
So she doubles that, so it
Okay.
feeds 2. So I'm assuming you're feeding these 2 here. You're not going to feed the kid dog food, are you?
No.
Okay. So they're good to go.
But now, wait, if I don't, I should feed the kid dog food because it's the only food that doesn't have a side effect.
I mean, that's up to you, really.
And I,
So she's got a trait called lean and mean, so she only loses 1 health when going unfed. So I don't mind not feeding the kid.
As a mother, this goes against every grain in my body.
And Teresa has an objective, which is that every survivor in all squads gets fed in the same night. If I'm not mistaken. So if we
Yeah,
do
complete
feed
an
everybody-
afternoon step with no survivors in any squad going unfed. Yeah, so we're feeding Maddie the dog food. Y'all are eating.
Okay. So what are you feeding me?
Okay, well, Maddie's gonna eat the dog food because it doesn't have anything.
Oh, I didn't realize I had an objective if I get an animal in my squad, so I should have taken the dog. Oh well. So what are you feed? You're feeding me some radiation food?
Well, we're gonna do it this way.
Oh, you're gonna feed the.
We're gonna lie to the kid and tell her it's Captain Crunch.
That's not even the same texture, but okay.
If it's
Chef
dry
Dry
dog food,
Oh, I was gonna say Chef Boyardee. It says can of dog food. You don't have
can of dry dog food. That's what Anne buys for her dogs. Cans of dry dog
Guess
food.
who does not do the grocery shopping in our
So
house?
the rad food, I'm gonna prepare that, and I'm gonna give some to Arthur, and then I'm gonna give some to
Give it to Bella.
Bella. So we're
Because
each gonna get.
she has the ability to ignore this, like, when she's moving.
First, bio damage
Oh,
or
so
radiation.
she probably won't take an additional one during the next round, possibly.
Yeah,
so
she has less chance
You
to
and I are both gonna get a radiation, so pass it over.
radiation.
So all of my squad's fed, all of Anne's squad is fed. So here you go, Josh. You want to eat some human food? Some humans? I feel like Josh would eat a person.
You would totally eat a person. Like, if it comes down to
I'm
it, you
getting
would eat
that
me.
vibe from you too, Josh. I don't know if you should take it.
So if
Josh,
I'll eat the raw food, so I get that toxic thing.
Biohazard.
So those don't do any damage right now, but at the start of the next day, each survivor that has one of those is going to take a point of damage.
And does that always stay on you? Is there no way to get rid of that, or?
There are a few ways to get rid of them. One is if in the crafting phase we build the infirmary beds, people who sleep in infirmary beds get rid of their sickness.
Oh, nice.
There are, I think, a couple skills. Like one of the survivors has a skill where he can patch people up with band-aids and remove a disease.
All right. So Walter, do you want to use the raw food long pork
You need the human, Walter.
to feed both your characters?
Yeah, I definitely don't want radiation because my guys are at low health, but I think I'll handle disease. It's fine.
So how was the human? Was it tasty?
It could have been worse. I mean, there was no like
We love the
vodka
booze.
ketchup to go on it, but
Okay, so then what comes up next?
I
we're
get
gonna go into the night phase.
2 victory points now because I have completed my objective.
Yeah, so actually we kind of messed up on victory points a little bit. We all reset when we started this chapter. I think the only person who's gained them prior to you is Matt. I think you gained victory points when you built that workbench.
That was
No.
Josh built the workbench.
Which
Or
is
no,
a
I
good
built the
name.
workbench. I'm sorry. So yeah, I would get victory points for building the workbench.
Actually, you don't get any victory points for building the
No.
workbench.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh well.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So yeah, I think actually Anne is the only one who has any victory points thus far in chapter 1 here. So now it's kind of up to you guys. We sort of have two options. One, we could play out what I believe to be probably a pretty challenging night of combat since we're going to fight two mutates. I would love for you guys to see how mutates work, but they'll probably kill us. Not necessarily. We could work together. Matt and Anne are both very powerful, so maybe we could handle this. Or we could try out the PvP scenario, which is actually chapter 4 of the book. But I think then we'll see again Matt and Anne's power level kind of kicking butt there. And normally we don't do the PvP until after a few more rounds of us all kind of equaling out. So it's kind of up to you guys.
So considering the time, I think that we should probably wrap it up. There are other things that we'd like to cover in the session, like talk to you about the creation of the game, and we also want to do a review. But we are looking for campaign games to play regularly, so I think this might come up in the near future. And if you're interested in Skyping in with us again and continuing this, we'd love to have you on.
I think that would be awesome. Just if we are going to skip it, I'd love to take 2 seconds and just tell you
course.
guys about the mutates.
Absolutely.
So grab the mutate deck. There's 5 mutates.
Okay.
My house
And
the five.
just flip up to any one of them.
I saw this and I have to. Chubbo.
Okay, the Chubbo. So he's got his associated little Chubbo Mini there. He's going to have a sliding scale of HP. So because there's 4 of us in the game, he would have 16 hit points. So they're little white or ivory cubes that came in the box. So we would put an ivory cube on 16. Meaning he's got just a crap ton of hit points. He does 3 damage, so a little bit more than a fresh zombie, and he only moves 3 spaces. Some of the other mutates are really fast and do a lot more. He also has a special ability, Ravenous Rhino, which has that basic attack against him costs more, because he's so fat, you gotta get through that. And if he does damage to you while you're carrying items in your carried slot there, he's gonna eat it. He's gonna eat it and gain some health back. So it's really helpful to keep him at range. So there's 5 different mutates. They all kind of have a different ability that makes you sort of strategize and teamwork around them in different ways. At the end of the night phase, like, we would tally up how many zombies lived, and that would increase the doom track. If a mutate lives through the night, the doom track goes up by the number of hit points he has left. Ooh. So if we spent the whole night kiting this Chubbo around, the doom track would shoot up by 16 points. If we didn't touch it, it would go up 16 points, and if it gets to 30 ever, we lose.
Oh.
If it even gets close to 30, we're probably going to lose, because that means the house is getting swarmed and we're going to get killed. So on this upcoming night, we would have fought 2 mutates, the Chubbo and one more. What do we got?
Let's do the Slimer.
So the Slimer is one who has a lot more range, and his damage can be allocated to defense. So it has to be direct damage to your survivors. And if you make one survivor take a bunch of that damage, then they also get diseased. So the Slimer is really annoying, but he has slightly less hit points. With 4 of us, he only has 13 hit points. So I would think maybe one strategy there is for us to, like, charge the Slimer, kick his butt, and then deal with the Chubbo kind of at range, at least range 2, with our longer range melee weapons, and kind of keep him at arm's distance. So yeah, the mutates are one of my favorite parts about the new design, and they came from Z Master, which was an expansion to the original game, and then we kind of reimagined them here for the new system.
So each night is still 5 rounds, right? So
each night is still 5 rounds,
so
unless the campaign booklet tells you otherwise. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's...
Wow, that's rough, trying to take down 2 of them in 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we would really probably get our butts kicked, which is where things like the bomb or the Molotov cocktail that we could have crafted with some of that booze and parts and things like that would really come into play, because those do high damage. And there is a bit of luck in terms of, like, what survivors you have and what items you get. So, like, you had Arthur Von Eschen, and if we had found a gas-powered weapon, there's some really good gas-powered weapons in the deck, and they're really good on Arthur because he does extra damage with them. So Arthur, with a really good gas-powered weapon, could do 3 or 4 points of damage by himself in a turn. So those mutates, they look really, really scary, but if things kind of line up and we are playing as a team, we can definitely take them down.
So how many zombies would have spawned with the 2 mutates?
So we would have had the 2 mutates, and that's because we passed the Doom track passed 2 milestones, and then we would have had 9 other fresh zombies show up. So we would have had those 2 mutates and 9 fresh zombies coming around the outside of the board here.
Oh. 9 sounds like a lot, but we started the other one with
8.
So
no, more than 8.
We also didn't have 2 mutates with 16 and 20 health on them.
That's true.
Right. But we didn't have, Anne rolling 8 dice a turn and you rolling 6 with extra weapons and things like that.
That's true.
And we don't have to kill every zombie to survive the night. When the sun comes up, all the zombies flee. So assuming that we at least killed those 2 mutates, then the Doom track would just go up a bit, and we could maybe keep things managed. And only 5 mutates can spawn in a chapter total throughout throughout that chapter. So even if the Doom track shot up a bunch of points there, we still wouldn't see Chubbo and Slimer again. It's not like we could end up constantly facing them.
Okay.
Makes sense. All right, so Anne, you want to do your interview thing? This is you.
That thing that you do?
That thing you do. So we're going to make ourselves a little bit bigger on the screen. If you could bring it over to us, TP.
Yeah.
And this is where we like to talk to you a little bit more about the game in depth. Anne's got a whole myriad of questions she likes to, or myriad questions she likes to ask people, so I'll let her take that away.
All right, Walter, let's start from the beginning. So this is Zpocalypse 2. You talked a little bit about the first game. Tell me a little bit about the first game.
So the first game was Greenbrier's first game that they made. I think they made it they started in 2011 and it was on Kickstarter in 2012. At the time, it was the highest funded game on Kickstarter, I believe, ever. So it did really well.
Awesome.
It is unlike Zpoc 2 here, where we are doing sort of a tower defense. We're going to be defending this house as zombies pour in. Zpoc 1 is a city exploration, so it's about flipping tiles that come out, and zombies are going to show up on those tiles. It had much shorter scenarios, so it was more about kind of quick play, deal with this one challenge, and then deal with another challenge the next time you sit down to play, and was less about a straight campaign. Julie is telling me here it was 2011 that was out on Kickstarter. The combat system was very different. So in this, you roll all your dice first, and that's your action pool, and then you're going to assign the dice as you see fit. In Zpoc 1, kind of had a different setup where you had a set number of actions you could take as a character, as a squad here, and that would be either moving or attacking with your weapons. And after you decide what you want to do, then you roll dice to see if you were successful doing it. And there was a lot of content made for Zpoc 1. There are a bunch of expansions. I was looking at the spreadsheet the other day. There's like 400 some odd survivors.
Oh, wow.
There were a lot of community-made survivors and things like that. And so while the games aren't directly compatible, and you can use some of the components, and in the story booklet in Z2 here, there are some things that you can only do if you have Z1, but they're not directly compatible. But we love a lot of the survivors that got made, so we are going to try to put out like print on demand or download at home packs of just survivors that you can have.
Oh, that's really cool. I like how you said, now when you said that there are a lot of them are community based, you're talking along the same lines as how some of the survivors that we were able to play with are Kickstarter backers.
So some of them were Kickstarter backers, but then Greenbrier actually had a thing where you could kind of make your own survivor after the fact and upload it to the site.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's very cool.
And that was more of like a BGG community thing.
Very cool.
That's pretty awesome.
So, Walter, how did you get involved in the project?
So I made a board game when I was in college. It's called Champions of Para. I would love to send you guys a copy and maybe play with you sometime. It's going to be on Kickstarter this fall. So I made that game in 2014, and in 2015 I was at Gen Con and I met Greenbrier Games at like a speed dating thing, like a publisher designer speed dating.
Yeah.
I was not invited to speed dating, so I crashed the party and set up the game next to it, and I think I even have the box here. I can show you my really dumb sign that was looking for publisher. So I just kind of had this on the back of the box set up next to it, and some people from Greenbrier came over and checked out the game, and they were like, "This is great. Come on and hang out with my boss tomorrow and play the game." And so they ended up really liking it. We were in talks for a little while, and they ended up signing the game for them to publish.
Congratulations.
And then a few months later, a member of Greenbrier Games went on to go work at Arcane Wonders, and so there was a extra spot at Greenbrier, and Jeff, the president, called me up and said, "Hey, you're not a bartender anymore, right? What do you want to do?" So I ended up I'm working for them now, full time. I do a lot of the logistical type stuff, but I also have the privilege of doing some game design with them. So about a year and a half ago, they came with a like 80% finished Zpoc 2, and they were like, "Well, we just want you to do the last 20% of this game, because we think you've got a good head on your shoulders, and it'll be really fun to work with you on this project." So me, Julie, who's in chat, and Zach and Jeff kind of finished the last of the game together, and I did a couple things they were less than happy about off the bat, but I think that they kind of came around on some things, and I came around on some things. And one of those big things was changing up the combat system. So it's the new action point system that we played with today, and some things like that. I mean, there were definitely things in the game that I wanted to cut right off the bat, and they were like, "No, those things are awesome." And so we had some good constructive arguments about those things, and I have definitely come around on a lot of them and think that they totally belong and are really fun. So it was a great kind of collaborative process there, and a really fun first project for me with them.
Part of a group of 5 people, I feel like that is a very good way to phrase constructive conversations.
Yeah, constructive arguments. They were not necessarily always polite, but no, That's not true. They were always polite, and it was a great process the whole time.
No, and I think that's really great because you get a lot of different people with a lot of different viewpoints and opinions and thinking about different things. And what happens at the end of that is that you really get the best final product out of whatever that conversation is. So, and that really does show in this game. I think it's absolutely great. I want to ask you kind of a tough question. What is your favorite piece of the game? Either that you directly influenced or indirectly influenced, something maybe another one of the designers kind of threw in there. What's your favorite piece?
So I'd say there's kind of two things that were from my side that I feel really strongly about and really like, and one is the action point system, and the other is the crits, the critical wounds. Which weren't in the game prior. I think they kind of amp up a lot of the tension, and Julie put a lot of really fun flavor on those, and I think they're great. So that would be one from my side. From the other side, from two things from the other side, I think the top one is obviously the scavenging stories. I'm not just saying this because Julie's in chat right now, but they're all great. They're really funny. Julie did an amazing job on them, and they add a lot of humor and lightheartedness to the game. That wouldn't be immediately apparent if you're just like, oh, like kind of super intense zombie game. When you get into it, there's a lot of goofy stuff.
Let me pause you right there because we know Julie is in chat and I know there's a little bit of delay. I'm curious if Julie can share with us some of her inspiration for some of the various storylines that are in there. I mean, you mentioned how you and Julie really had a lot of influence into a lot of the really great flavor text here. So she seems to be a very cool, creative kind of person, and I'm curious about what her inspiration was as well. So hopefully, TP, if you could keep an eye out for Julie and her answer in chat, that'd be great.
She just likes to quote songs. That's what we saw.
I feel like you did it very well.
I know Julie did quite a bit of, I was going to say homework on zombie movies.
A lot of zombie movies.
All the B-rated zombie movies.
All of them.
Josh, is
So while she's stepping more there, so the stories and then the crafting stuff. So crafting was one thing I actually wanted to cut from the game. I was like, nobody gives a crap about this, part of my language. I wanted to cut that, and I wanted to cut the feeding part. I was like, people just want to kill zombies. It's a zombie game. Like, read a funny story and kill zombies. Like, keep it to the point. And so I definitely fought with Zach for a little while, and that was one thing that Zach felt really strongly about. And I think it's one of the more celebrated things about the game. I think it's something that people really enjoy. I think the crafting cards not only came out beautiful, but as you kind of get into how some of them work in the more meta of the game, I think they add a whole lot, and they're really cool. So I'm glad that's one that I lost on in the conversation.
That's an important piece of being able to work in a group, is being able to say, I felt really strongly about this, I really didn't like this, I'm really upset that you did this and pushed it through, and then later being able to say,
you're right.
All right, it's not so bad. A little bit about you, Walter, briefly. Tell me how you personally got into board games and what made you decide that game design was the route you wanted to go.
So I grew up with 4 older brothers who were pretty much nerd culture in the face from day one. So Spider-Man comics, Sega Genesis, these things were just kind of every day. I was reflecting recently that I actually made my first 2 games when I was really little, and I made them with my older brother who's a couple years older than me. One was a war game using Pokemon cards, where basically the length of one card was a unit of movement, and we gave Pokemon new stats for moving around our house. So the blue rug was water, and you had to go. So it was just this ridiculous Pokemon war game that I'm sure if I went and found any scribbles of rules made 0 sense, but was very fun at the time. And the other I found pieces of recently was a miniatures game where I took my little action figures and glued them to little wooden bases from a craft store and wrote ridiculous things that probably made no sense to anyone but me. And he played it on a chessboard. My mom's got some photos of that. Those are kind of embarrassing, but also made me realize the other day that I am totally doing what I always wanted to do as a kid, so I feel really fulfilled in that.
That's really awesome.
Definitely played a lot of Magic the Gathering growing up. And then in college, my junior year, living with a couple kids after a few nights of kind of, well, what if we did that? We went out and we did it and we made Zpocalypse, and then it was just sort of like a constant obsession. I don't really do much else than think about games.
So you had a fan in chat very early on. They absolutely loved your work. Tell us, if you have more fans, where can they see you? Will you be on the rest of the con circuit?
So I'm going to be at Gen Con. I'm not going to be at Origins or a few things like that Julie is going to go in my stead and raise the banners and kick butt over there. But I will be at Gen Con. I will pretty much be demoing or running events for Champions of Horror the whole time. So if you do want to meet me and get a word in, I'd love to talk to anybody, but you probably would have to find out where the Champions of Horror events are.
Most importantly, for this show, if people want to get their hands on Zpocalypse 2, how do they go about doing that?
So I would be a fool not to say go to your local retailer and support them.
Friendly Legal Game Store!
The game is in stores. It was there as of May 5th. It's pretty rapidly selling out. It was a small print run for this first print run, so if you do want to get a copy, I would say go look for it right away. But also we'll have them on our web store, www.greenbriargames.com.
Some publishers have directories on their website specifically of the local game stores that are carrying their games. Does Greenbriar have something similar? How does somebody find the right game store?
We don't have something similar. That's a great idea. We should do that.
I take commission.
You just gave Walter work to do tomorrow.
We're kind of an in-between guy who puts all of our games in the hands of a lot of different distributors. We're pretty much with all the distributors. So I think you kind of would have a good shot of finding it at any little hobby shop. I'm sure if you asked the owner of said store, the proprietor would order you a copy, and they would probably get it at cheaper shipping than you would get through our web store. But if you can't find it, it's on our web store.
We will
We
definitely
also have
be
Wasteland. I don't think I have the box for Wasteland right now, which is the first expansion for this game.
Okay.
It adds a lot more campaign stuff. It's got more survivors, more tiles, more weapons, more things like that. A few new minis.
More crafting
but
and feeding?
Say again?
More crafting and feeding?
There is more crafting there. There's no new food. Luckily, we kept more food out of there. But it's another 4-part campaign, and that one's a lot more narrative focused. It's character driven, so there's like more weird like mini game type stuff. It sort of breaks away from the tower defense model of the core game and goes back to some of the tile exploration stuff from the first game. It's a lot about running around the highway in a truck. A lot of really weird stuff happens in it, so disclaimer, it's weird and dark. So just heads up.
That sounds perfect.
Walter, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We are very grateful for the time that you've taken to be with us, to play with us, to show us how to murder zombies. I am that much more prepared for the apocalypse.
And
I am
craft
so grateful.
workbenches.
This was tons of fun. You guys are awesome. I really hope that we have an opportunity to either play Zpoc some more campaign style or some more games in the future. And you now have a new avid fan of the show. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Walter.
so much.
All right, so I think this is the point where we're going to say goodnight to Walter. Thanks again for joining us. We're
Well,
also
guys.
going to stop recording for a second, break this down for YouTube, and we'll be up with another review.
With our honest review section,
There we
yeah.
go.
So,
awesome, guys. Can't wait. Thanks so much again, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Walter.
thanks,
Have a
Walter.
good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Stay tuned if you're watching live for our honest review section. If not, continue on to the next part in your video on demand service. Twist Gaming signing off. I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
And I'm the disembodied voice of TP. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.